Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. It is with great pleasure that I get to come out here and share with you another knife from South Australian knife maker Alistair Bastian. Now, if you go back a few years in my channel, and I will try to remember to put a link right up here for you, you'll see the first video that I did on one of Ali's knives. I was very impressed with it then, and his work has, oh, man, grown by leaps and bounds ever since then. And my new Hornet here is so much nicer than the Qual that I had back then that it's almost like they were made by two different people. I really enjoy getting this chance to, get in with a knife maker that's, not very, very well known or just kind of starting out, and then years later get a new build by them and experience just how much they've grown and refined all of their processes and their making skills. And this knife is a fantastic example of just how much he's grown. Now, before I get off too much on many different tangents, I do want to get the knife opened up and kind of give you the basic specs of it. This thing is just flat out amazing in every respect. What we're looking at here, you've got titanium liners, titanium keyhole bolsters. I love how far back the bolsters go in his design. It's amazing. 3 3/4 inch double recurve Tanto harpoon hawkbill. Didn't think you could put all those in one blade profile, but he did. In S35 VN with a beautiful hand rub satin finish. These scales are made of marbled carbon fiber, and all of this, the entire knife is done by hand, but he hand filed all of this and hand contoured all of this. I mean, it's truly amazing. Ali actually posted a video of him carving my scales on his Instagram, and you really should watch how he's doing it. I would assume most knife makers today would simply mill these lines and then go back by hand and, hand contour it, dowel with a piece of sandpaper over it, whatever, and just kind of round everything off. But he literally started with hand files. He did everything by hand, carving and sculpting these two scales. And the work obviously pays off. It looks really, really good. Stainless steel backspacer done in this scale pattern. Really, again, just mind-blowing the work that he's done there. The pocket clip, the pivot, and the pivot collars are done in his own forged style of titanium Damascus. What that means is it's basically like Alpha Knife Supply's Timascus or Chad Nichols Mokutai. And those are the same things, just different, trademark names for that material. And he is making his own. So he is making his own Damascus from titanium to create that look, and it looks amazing. Everything's riding on caged bearings, and the bead here that he has thrown in is actually pretty unique. He calls it stakume because it's a non-traditional type of mokume that he forged from stainless steel and copper. For those who don't know, traditional mokume is made of copper and iron, and he forges that as well, but on this one he chose to do something a little bit different, and I really, really dig that. All right, let's talk about Ali. Let's talk about the knife and get into some of the fun stuff. First off, just the action on this is incredible. Being a liner lock with a very long flipper tab, it's hard to disengage the lock and then just get it to drop free, but I'll go ahead and do that for you there. It's just easier for me to do it like this and close it. But nice fast flipper, great detent, better detent than on my previous knife, better action. Actually, I don't want to say the action was really good on that knife, but better detent on this particular version. My last knife was a frame lock. This being a liner lock, I get the beauty of all of the additional work that he's done on both sides instead of just the presentation side. So Ali is a true handmade knife maker. And I do want to preface this very quickly with the fact that you guys know I have a varied collection. I have some knives that are full on 100% sole authored, handmade. I have some that the knife maker just does his own stock removal instead of forging his own steel. Then everything else is done by hand. Some where they water jet or CNC their parts and then hand profile it and make the knife by hand from there. And some knives that were 100% made with CNC, like the Grimsmo Norseman is a great example of that. And I respect each and every way of making those knives. And I love them each for all the different things that they are. So when I start talking about how impressive it is that he's doing all this by hand, I don't want you to think that I'm saying that and knocking anybody else's knife making style. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he has done some very precise work here that typically someone would want to use some sort of smart technology or machines in order to achieve what he's done by hand. That means it's taking him a tremendous amount of time longer to do it, and it takes a great degree of skill with his own hands. So I just want to clarify that before I go off and start talking about all the little details he did by hand. I'm not knocking anybody else's style. So let's start looking here at the frame first and some of the little details. So, oh God, where do you start on a knife like this? All right, so he's done a really nice eggshell. We had discussed the different finishes that we'd be doing. To be honest with you, he goes a lot fancier than this. I wanted something that was only had accents of fanciness, if you will. I wanted to have something that was a little bit more of a practical aesthetic look. Meaning, he does stuff where all this titanium would have been his titanium Damascus, and then he'll do all this in mother of pearl, full dress knives with Damascus blades and whatnot. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to spend that level of money, and I didn't want something that was just so artsy that I wouldn't carry it as often. You guys know I'll carry everything. I have some ridiculously overdressed knives that I still carry all the time, but they get carried less than something that's like this. So I opted for titanium and carbon fiber and did not go into Damascus for the blade. So what he did was a beautiful eggshell finish on the bolsters and goes down into, again, realizing that he's doing this by hand, that he is fitting this carbon fiber into this bolster by hand. No CNC, no pantograph, all done by hand. Now, there are a lot of makers that can do that, and especially in the knife art world, but you're paying a lot more money, 3-4 times the amount of money that he would charge for this to do that same level of work. So that's why I still find him to be one of the best values in the high-end handmade market. Just look at the work that he's done, the sculpting of all of this. And to then, once he's completed this, do it again. And there are a lot of makers that do not like doing liner locks this fancy because they don't want to have to do the same work twice and try to get them to match. And if you really look, he has matched up those scales wonderfully. That's a challenge to do the same exact thing twice by hand and make them appear to be pretty much exact. Taking a look at the back spacer here. Just gorgeous. Beautiful finish work too. He's mirror polished it. And he brought out color, which is really damn cool how he did this. Because one of the things that we discussed, I had assumed the back spacer was going to be titanium before he built it. And I said, yeah, I'd just love to do, if you could just torch it, just flame it to match what you're doing on the clip and the pivots, that'd be great. He goes, well, the back spacers I use are going to be stainless steel, and you can't anodize those. You can't bring out those colors. But what he did was draw out some very dramatic color from that stainless steel, and I'm very, very impressed. I do have the lanyard tied on here, but you can see how the back spacer comes around to a stinger, which is where the Hornet gets its name. Just, I mean, so fucking cool. It really is. Then, as you look at the flipper tab, the hand detail work that he's put into that, which is then also brought up here on the spine of the blade. See if I can get it to focus a little bit more sharply. It's this kind of detail work that sets him apart from so many other very, very talented makers. Then we take a look at the pocket clip here in his titanium Damascus. And then the incredible pivot and pivot collar. Also done in his titanium Damascus. No matter where you look on this knife, there is something dramatic and beautiful to behold. That's what amazes me about this. It was, meant to be a carry piece, not something that every time you pick it up, you stare at it for 5 minutes because it's that beautiful. But that's exactly what he did. He created something here that is just absolutely beautiful. It really does stir up that collector's emotion within me because it's something that he made by hand and something that he made specifically for me. Even if he made these same materials in another knife for someone else, and I'm not saying that he won't, it still won't be the exact same knife. And that's what's so amazing about this thing. When it comes to actual usability, oh my God, the lines of this knife, the way that he shaped it, it fits my hand perfectly, exactly how I would want it. Where your thumb rests, it sits right here on the scales, and it has a wonderful tactile feeling. The holes in the blade, you have the option of getting holes or no holes, and I thought it'd be cool to have the holes. It really adds even more drama to that really, really dramatic blade. Look at the grinds here. I mean, it's sometimes hard to come up with words. I want to give you an idea of just how big this knife really is. For being only a 3 3/4 inch blade is still very large, but it's so large this way. And I wanted to bring it out here with my battle for a couple of reasons. One, this is also a 3 3/4 inch blade. It's very overbuilt, very, very thick. It's a large knife. It's a similar theme, which I did intentionally. I wanted to have the eggshell bolsters, and I wanted to have the marble carbon fiber, so that these were kind of complementing pieces in my collection. Now you see in the length of the handles, very, very similar, but look at the difference here. The actual size of the frame really isn't that much larger than the battle, but it's the size of that blade, the height of that blade, that's insane. And now as we get them open, and the other reason I wanted to bring these two out together, because I've been asked already on Instagram, well, is that blade profile really, really close to what your battle is? Yes and no. It is a double recurve tanto, so it's the same basic idea, but you'll notice because of the, again, it really, really brings this down into a hawkbill shape as well, because he's curved the spine as well as the recurve in the blade, that it creates, in my opinion, a dramatically different look. Even though they're both double recurve harpoon blades, you really have, in my opinion, two very different looking knives. And this one even comes out looking a bit more aggressive. His harpoon is taller, almost looks like a dinosaur. As I'm looking at it right now, it looks like some kind of dinosaur I've seen in a movie or something. So it's in my opinion a little bit more of an aggressive look. And just like what Frank has done, he took a really nice small hollow grind, a nice deep hollow grind up there. And it looks, again, very, very dramatic. Every part of this knife is dramatic. There's nothing subtle. I mean, really nothing subtle about this knife. Even though it's dressed down, it's like a sledgehammer to your fucking head. You can't get it out of your mind. Even after I got it, I planned on carrying a knife the other day is because I was going out to do something. And I knew there was probably going to be a need for me to really just tear up some shit with my knife. So, on those days, you tend to carry something that's not quite as pretty or museum quality or anything. And so I forgot what it was that I was planning on carrying. And this was still sitting out in my kitchen from the night before. And I couldn't carry anything else. This had to go back in my pocket again the next day. There's something addictive about the size of this knife, about the action, about the feeling of it in my hand, and then obviously the pure beauty of it, seeing all of the work that's gone into this, and to know that all of that took so much time and so much skill from his hands. Now, keep in mind, he's not currently taking custom orders, but you can contact him and get on his contact list for when he has pieces available for sale. So basically, he's doing what a lot of prolific knife makers are doing these days. They don't want to deal with order books because, then you're kind of a slave to your books. No matter what if you wake up one morning and go, I've got this great idea and I want to make this awesome new knife. Oh shit, I can't because I've got these 35 people waiting in line. I've got to get their knives done and do them right away. Crap. And it kind of sucks the creativity out of you. And those existing orders are set up a certain way. If you wanted to forge a new material, they didn't have to contact the person whose knife he's working on and go, hey, I know we discussed this material, but I really wanted to make something in this material. Would you want that on your knife? And if that guy says no, and then again, that kills your creativity. So what he's doing is what a lot of other people are doing. He's making what he wants to make. He's expressing the artist within him and creating these beautiful knives and then making them available after he's made them. So if you're on his contact list, then he'll send you a message and say, hey, I made this particular model, whether it's the Hornet or the Iguana or the Quoll or whatever, and here's the blade, here's a picture, here's what I did. If you want it, here's the price. So it's a more freeing way for a knife maker to run their business. So getting rid of books for a lot of people is the best thing that they could have done. So if you want to order one of his knives, that's the way you do it. Contact him, especially through Instagram. He's really quick to respond. Again, depending on the time zone difference, because he's in Australia. Just send him a direct message on Instagram, and he'll say yes or no or whatever it is that you guys want to agree to. I will tell you this, his work does not come cheap because he is doing it by hand, because he is forging all of that material. He is custom making everything for you. So, if you're expecting a $500 or $1,000 knife, it's very unlikely that you're ever going to see that. What I'm holding in my hands is right around $2,500. This is not a cheap knife. Going into when he starts really dressing them out, full Damascus and the titanium Damascus and mother of pearl or whatever else, yeah, you can get 25, 28, 3,000 and more. So please do keep that in mind. He does throw in a lanyard and bead with every knife for free. So he spends that time and gives you that little gift there, which I think is damn cool. And what I will say is this, you're not going to be disappointed with whatever knife he chooses to make for you, or you choose to have him make, I should say. And there inside it does list his maker's mark, and this is the 98th knife that he has made. Love that stinger. How cool is that stinger? Let's get that out of the way. Look how friggin' cool that is. Just so awesome. So even going back to my original Quoll, it was a really, really awesome knife, but it wasn't at this level. And as he makes more and more knives, he gets better and better. And I still remember it was probably about 1.5 years ago, maybe a little bit less, when all of a sudden his knives went from being, wow, that's pretty nice, to, holy shit, did he really just make that? Seemingly overnight. He has devoted a lot of time to his hand finishing, to perfecting every component as greatly as he possibly can, and to then express more of his creativity by doing stuff like this, like the custom shaped pivots. He could very easily make this amazing knife and order an Alpha Knife Supply pivot, anodize it in whatever color, pop it in there, and the knife is still going to be nice. But he takes the extra steps. Doing this stepped work on the flipper tab, doing it here on the spine of the blade. These are all things that I didn't expect to have on this knife, and holy shit, there they are. When I opened up the package, I went, oh my god, this thing is just, it's breathtaking. It's not a perfect knife, but no handmade knife ever is, and that's a certain appreciation that you will have as you collect handmade knives. It's not the same as buying a knife that the parts were cut on a CNC and things like that. There are ever so slight little inconsistencies in handmade knives. I discussed this a long time ago with some of my Alan Olishewitz knives in some of those videos. That there are certain things that we appreciate by seeing that, because it's a small little telltale sign to me that this was done by hand. And I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. I went out with some friends on Friday night, met up at a place, and they know that I'm big into knives. They're not really knife people, they're not really knife guys themselves, but they're becoming more interested. And one of my buddies is like, so what are you carrying tonight? And I said, oh, I'm carrying the new one that I just got. And when I put it in his hand, his jaw dropped open. He's like, oh my God, that's amazing. I said, you want to hear something even more amazing? All this work was done by hand, no machines, no smart machines, I should say. It's all basically hand tools. And he's like, there's no way, really? Seriously? I'm like, yeah, that's the beauty of getting into these custom knives. I enjoy collecting in all of the different arenas, from, you know, full CNC and all the way to handmade knives. And there's something different to appreciate in each one. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for Ali in the work that he has represented here. This is just truly awesome. I'm very, very thankful to have it. This is not going to be leaving my collection. This is something that I'm just going to enjoy carrying the living shit out of. And I really enjoyed getting the opportunity to share it here tonight with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it close up in HD and appreciate the staggering amount of time that went into the making of this knife. Ali, thank you very much for the time that you took to make this. I can't thank you enough, and for doing it as quickly as you did. For everybody else, I've got a lot more videos to get done, so I will see you on the next video.